House to Home, presented by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.
Holiday, everybody, and happy holidays to you. And that is the theme for House to Home today. We have Liz here. And Liz, Holiday.
Holiday.
Happy holidays to you and your family.
Happy holidays to you. Merry Christmas, actually.
Yeah, we can say that again.
People barely say Merry Christmas, so I make it a point, Merry Christmas versus Happy Holidays.
Well, with the new presidential administration, and we won't get into all that, but we can now say Merry Christmas
Merry
again.
Christmas,
Yeah,
that's correct.
And I have always had a question about the holiday season. We know Jesus is the reason for the season. Everybody respects that. And yet it's become this big capitalist event. I mean, you can't deny that.
Right.
How has the holiday season with, economic fluctuations and everything, does that have any bearing on the real estate market? Because as we talked about so many times, buying a home is not like getting a bike or an iPhone or a PlayStation or even a car. It's a much different animal.
Right. Well, during the holidays, normally, people are focused on giving gifts and shopping and trying to make sure they hit all their items on their list for their grandkids and their children. But during the holidays, the market is the market. I say that all the time. Your market is based on what's happening in our cycle. But for December, the only thing I see is that sometimes it slows the process down because their holiday, their dates there where the banks are off. And if you're dealing with a particular bank that has to get approvals from off island, we're a day behind. So Sunday, their time, Monday, we can't get a response till Tuesday. So there is a process when you're dealing with veterans loans or loans that are approved from off island. So the only thing I see is just the delay in time. For example, we do have some transactions that were supposed to close, let's say early December. They've been moved towards late December. So we've had to get some extensions. However, pricing is not really affected because the market dictates. So if it's a buyer's market, it's still a buyer's market. It's not going to change during the holidays.
So companies like yours and brokerages, they don't basically have we have a big sale because, it's December, the 12 days of Christmas.
No, not at all.
Something for your marketing department to think about maybe.
Yeah.
I realize it's a different animal, but in that, right, in the fact that the pricing is largely not going to be affected by, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, is there opportunity if I'm a property owner to prepare my property for the market, knowing that everybody's already going to be preoccupied with all of the parties and shopping and events? Or if I'm an investor looking to get into property, do I have a slight advantage because everybody else is so preoccupied? Could I actually get the leg up?
It could be that, yes. So that during the holidays, people are preoccupied that an investor could run around and look at the inventory, what's currently available. But for someone that's selling, so for example, if you're selling a house, I would always ask, what is your timeline? What are you looking at in terms of selling? What are your, what is your motivation to sell? If you're leaving island and you have to be stateside at a certain time, then I would say you want to make sure you market it earlier in the year so that probably we close it sometime in November or the beginning part of December. But once you get into the middle section of December, then there's a backlog usually, or it slows things down a bit. Yeah, so I would say start marketing it as early as possible.
Yeah, because I would think that the savvy investors would just say, okay, I realize everybody else has other plans, things are happening, that's just the nature of things.
That's right.
There is an opportunity here, and that's what we've talked about on this show so many times is, the chance for, if you're a seller, to make maximum revenue. If you're a buyer, we want to save you money, but also to realize opportunity when it is available.
Right. I mean, if you're selling property, you could say, hey, Christmas, you could offer a special, maybe reduce it by X amount, and just say, for the holidays, I've reduced it. Usually there's a window of, what people are asking and what they're willing to go, what their bottom line is. So maybe during the holidays, someone could say, hey, for the holidays, I'm discounting X amount. Or they could say, I could cover part of, let's say, your closing costs. I could credit you X amount, let's say $5,000, for example, towards your closing costs and count that as your Christmas gift.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yes.
That is totally not a Scrooge thing to do.
No,
that would be very generous.
No, especially now when you're a veterans buyer. Veteran buyers are usually asking for some credit. They would sometimes ask, but remember, I have to point this out. Sometimes they think it's a given, but it's not. It's subject to a seller willing to give a credit. If you're a VA buyer or just a regular buyer, for example, it's always subject to the seller. Sometimes the seller will say, hey, this is my bottom line. I'm not interested in giving a credit. And we've come across that. So they would say, my price is firm, take it or leave it. So even when appraisals come back, sometimes an appraisal will be less, let's say 5,000 less. And that has happened. And then the seller says, take it or leave it. You pay over your loan amount of an additional 5,000. And the buyer, if they really love the property, they'll say, okay.
Now, I know you, and we've known each other for a number of years, and if you've got property that's on the market, but say you always take these wonderful skiing trips to Japan, and you take like all your grandkids, and you have these wonderful family parties, if I just happen to send you an email, though, in the middle of the busy holiday season and say, I'd like to make an offer, I believe this is very, very generous, and I really need this house, you'd be crazy not to at least consider it.
Hey,
as busy as you are, because you're
I'm working even if I'm on a trip.
You're
constantly
triple L.
working.
You're Liz, the living legend, right?
I'm working constantly, no matter where I am. In fact, we've got all our global, Wi-Fi. So no matter where we're at, we're constantly responding to our clients.
Take
our
my
clients
money, please.
Our clients come first. We take care of them,
okay.
No matter where we are in the world.
Okay, now to wrap up, because we got to end the show, but have you ever seen anybody, like parents, Nino, Nina, anybody like just benevolent people actually give somebody like they'll pay the closing costs as a Christmas present?
We've seen that. We've seen that happen. Yes, of course. If you had a child, would you want to give them their closing cost?
Absolutely, but I don't have kids, so I'm not able to do that.
Well, parents out there have done that,
and that's why when I do have children, you're going to be Nina to my firstborn. All right, well, happy holidays to you again.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Thanks for the information. This was fantastic. Hope you learned a lot and hope to see you next time we're on the air. Bye-bye. Take care.